Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Prime Answers. And Prime Answers, for those who have never seen an episode, is a series where I answer a bunch of your questions that you leave in a community post or on this video, or if you happen to be on our Discord server and happen to be a member of Patreon, you are able to also ask questions in a separate section of that. And those questions are the ones I usually answer first, so you don't have to wait so long to get your answers in. Also, if I ever get to the point that I'm completely overwhelmed with public questions, the Patreon questions will always be included, whereas I might have to cut out some of the public questions just for time purposes. Also, these videos always start out with a channel update as a way for me to directly communicate to people that isn't, watching our live streams and sometimes hearing my frustrations or my jubilations, or isn't on Patreon, getting the Patreon exclusive updates as well, where I usually give patrons a little bit of a heads up about what's happening at the channel. That being said, this past week, really 2 weeks, I didn't talk about it much last week, besides the live stream issue, but the past 2 weeks has been a bit rough on YouTube. A lot of my videos have been basically killed off accidentally by YouTube. It started off originally as a live stream issue where my live streams were not being sent out. Notifications weren't being sent out, wasn't appearing in sub feeds. It would only appear directly if you visited the channel page. You couldn't even search for it. That's how bad it was. So I had a few live streams where I streamed for like an hour and 0 people showed up, which I'm not saying I'm entitled to have people show up to my live streams, but ever since I started doing live streams, back when Breath of the Wild and the Switch launched, I've never had 0. So, yeah, and YouTube admitted that there was a screw-up, and they did eventually fix the live stream issue, and I haven't really had the live stream issue since they fixed it. But what has happened is the exact same thing that was happening to the live streams now is happening to a lot of my video uploads. I have had, over the past 2 weeks, at the time of recording at least, 8 videos that have been affected by the same issue that my live streams were. Notifications not going out, not appearing in sub feeds, sometimes not even appearing on my channel page as a subscriber. It would appear if you were not a subscriber of the channel. What a lot of good that does, since most people aren't checking out your channel if they're not subscribed to you. But whatever. And sometimes it would work right away, and then it would glitch out and stop working. On Friday, actually, we had 2 videos on Metroid Prime 4, obviously the news update, and then the follow-up to that when we learned some more information about what was happening with that and the Metroid Prime trilogy. Both the videos, if you go look at the viewership of it, look fine, right? 3 point whatever thousand views, maybe 4,000 views or whatever. That's fine, but those videos had that amount of viewership within hours of them releasing. It stopped gaining viewership because it stopped appearing in sub feeds and they stopped sending out notifications for it, essentially killing the videos on the spot. Now, the videos are fixed now. They do appear in your sub feeds. They do appear on the channel. YouTube apologized to me, but that doesn't give them any more viewership. How things work on YouTube is essentially you have an hour, okay? When you upload a video, you have 1 hour to gain traction. That hour, barring someone sharing your video on Kotaku or some other major website, that is going to be the hour that determines how big your video gets. Because if it performs well in that first hour with your audience, that's when YouTube will decide to start grabbing that video and attaching it to other people's videos on the sidebar, or sometimes right below the video, or we'll start putting it in people's recommended feeds. You might say, oh, well, it's in my recommended feed. Well, if you're subscribed to my channel and you're always watching my videos, chances are a lot of my videos do appear in your recommended. But for people who aren't subscribed, as a chance to get new viewers, that is the kind of recommended that I'm talking about. And unfortunately, when you kill off my own viewership of it, that kills off the ability for YouTube's algorithm to pick up the video and thus spread it out and actually help grow the channel. So not only does it negatively hurt viewership, it also hurts my pocketbook because I make less money because there's less viewership, and it stunts the growth of the actual channel. So in fact, we even had a day over the last 2 weeks where we actually had negative subscribers gained, and we lost 1 subscriber and didn't gain any. And that day, Also happened to be a day where 3 videos were hit with this problem, and none of those 3 were able to cross 1,000 views, which is very unusual for anything on this channel not named the Nintendo Prime Podcast. Our podcast is always one of our lowest viewed. That and this, Prime Answers and our podcast, because they're long forms of content, only the hardcore of hardcore people are really going to be into watching it. So it's really, really incredibly frustrating when this happens. And it doesn't appear that it's fixed and going to be fixed anytime soon. Every time they fix it for my individual videos, because Team YouTube on Twitter, very proactive about trying to help me out and get my videos fixed, it doesn't prevent it from happening again and again and again. So even when a video starts off hot and starts getting spread, sometimes they'll just stop cold turkey. Sometimes I'll release the video and then they'll put it in the sub feeds and the notifications hours later. But because you didn't get that initial momentum in the first, hour of the video being out, it doesn't get the extra algorithm boost, and thus the video just kind of dies out. It's very unfortunate, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. And as someone who does live paycheck to paycheck and relies upon this revenue, it definitely hurts to see revenue go like this to zoom, all because YouTube is broken, basically. So there's nothing I can do about it. As I tell people, the number one way to ensure I can keep doing this, I've got about 2.5-ish months here before I'll have to go actually get, a normal everyday full-time job for my family and stuff. To make this whole YouTube thing work, like patreon.com/Nintendo Prime, that's where you go, just toss me $1 per month. I mean, I got, 44,000 subs, let's say 10,000 of them are active or whatever. I mean, if all of you guys could just find it in the kindness of your heart to give me $1, like, oh my gosh, that would not only support the family, for that kind of revenue per month, that'd be $10,000 or something per month. I would be able to actually hire on staff and make my videos even more professional, and provide, another job for somebody else out there, not just myself. So, it's just, I know that's unrealistic. I got children who watch and stuff like that, but every dollar really does count. So I always encourage people to check out patreon.com/Nintendo Prime. There's different tiers there with different perks. We have some stretch goals for new content to fund. But honestly, that's how I'm going to be able to continue to do YouTube and not worry about when YouTube screws around with me like this. Because I'll always get the videos out to our patrons, but I can't ensure that I reach everybody else. So it's one of those things that you should hopefully want to show some love and some support to myself and this channel through our Patreon. Because if we can get that Patreon up to like $800 to $1,000, that's when I won't worry as much about YouTube screwing around with things. Like, I'll still complain about it, but I won't be like, oh, woe was me, it hit my pocketbook. Like, who cares? That's like bonus revenue in comparison to how this show is actually funded. So that's it. You guys don't have to give anything. You can just like the videos and watch and share and enjoy. But it's always much appreciated, because you guys are going to be why this thing can not just be the next 2.5 months. This thing could be 2019 and 2020 and 2021. Just keep this thing going, and it's going to be because of you guys if it happens. So thank you so much for those of you that already support. I think we have 51 patrons. Thank you so much. And if you guys are interested, please check out that Patreon. There's a link down in the description for that. Another thing is you can go to our Discord server now. I will put a link down in the description as well to our Discord server. We have a public channel there because of how YouTube has been screwing around with things. If you are on that Discord server, the primary purpose is we have one public chat, but the reason I've opened up that public chat is because there's another room in there that's just notifying people when my new videos go up. So you can have your notifications turned on for Discord for that particular channel on the server, and then you will get a notification on your phone or computer or whatever device you happen to be using that has Discord on it, to basically get a notification of every video I put up, every live stream I put up, all of that stuff. That is a great way. That's way better than relying on Twitter feeds. It's way better than relying on YouTube to get the video to you. So that's absolutely free. You don't have to become a patron to get that benefit. You can just go down there, join the Discord server, get your notifications of all of our videos. I mean, you can hit the bell icon too. I encourage that, but this is like a, yeah, the bell icon might work, but this will work. So unless Discord breaks someday, and again, that's us putting our hopes into another third-party platform, but what are you going to do? Yeah, I think that's really all I got for updates. It's just been kind of a rough couple of weeks. So whatever. Let's get into some happier times and talk about some video games, shall we? First up, we have our patron questions for this episode of Prime Answers, and the first one comes from Sticky Splat. He says, "Given the Metroid news, do you think we will see Metroid 4 in the next decade?" I'm assuming you meant Metroid Prime 4. Yes. If you meant like obviously, we'll see that in the next decade. If you meant like a traditional side-scrolling Metroid game, that's a bit of a more iffy prospect. I think coming off of Samus Returns, I think they reinvigorated that crowd. They might be able to do another thing like that in the next 5 years or so, but we've heard there's multiple Metroid projects in the works. So you know what? You said in the next decade, traditional Metroid 4, yes. I'm just going to say yes. Sometime in the next decade, we will. Cody, from our Patreon Discord server, said, do you think Switch will outperform 2018 in 2019 in terms of hardware sales? Yes. My current projection is about 24 million, which would be higher than what they did this last fiscal year. So, yes. Corey Bohm says, what's your top 3 favorite adult beverages? He says for each cast member. This isn't a podcast, so it's just me. Top 3 favorite adult beverages. Captain Coke, a go-to when I'm just, don't have a lot of money, I guess, would be like a Miller Lite or a Coors Light, just some cheap beer, and especially if it's on tap. And then for something I actually enjoy, because Captain Coke's just okay, something I actually enjoy is honestly a fruitier kind of drink. Not even like a UV Blue Mountain Dew, but something like call it a purple haze. It's a mixture of a whole bunch of different alcohol. It's like 100% alcohol, but it's a mixture of like 8 different bottles of booze. And it tastes like candy. And who doesn't like candy? So I mean, there's someone out there who doesn't like candy, but yeah, it's that is my 3 favorite drinks. All right. Next up, we have questions from YouTube. A whole bunch of those, like 22 of them or something like that. First up, this one comes from Alex Layborn. He says, do you think there could be a Mario Galaxy 3 in the future? I enjoyed the first one. Never got my hands on the second, but a third could be fun, especially for younger fans of Nintendo games. Probably not. I think the boat on that has mostly sailed. It's possible they could do it, but they kind of moved on, and they made Super Mario Odyssey now. I think it's a lot more likely you'll get an Odyssey 2 than you will a Super Mario Galaxy 3. Yasuke has a very interesting question. They ask, can you please eat more often on your videos? I don't really eat that often. Anyways, let me get to the rest of your comment. I watched last week's podcast where you were eating. Yeah, some breadsticks, yeah. And I enjoyed watching you eat. Maybe it's a weird request, so I'm not too hopeful. The weird thing to me wasn't your request. It's that 6 people liked your request. No. It's hard to talk when something's in your mouth. It worked on that podcast. One, I was hungry. I wasn't going to wait. I didn't want the food to get cold, and reheating breadsticks is never as good as when they first arrive. And Eric was there, and he kind of carried things while I was eating, so it's not something that is going to happen very often. Now, maybe on a longer live stream, if I'm going to do like a 3-4 hour live stream, maybe I could eat sometime in there, but doing that isn't, I don't know that that's really like entertaining. I know that is a thing for some people. Like, there's that curiosity and even a little bit of entertainment watching how someone eats their food. Do they chew like on the side? Do they kind of chew in the middle? Do they open their mouth a little bit when they chew? How do they eat? Like, what's the portion size they grab? Do they stick the whole stick in? Do they dip it? In this case, it was breadsticks. Do I dip it in the sauce? Do I stick the whole stick in? Do I just take off little pieces and little bites? Do I try to talk with food in my mouth because I wanted to get something in? And what does that sound like? There is, I think, a general curiosity over that kind of stuff. But honestly, I have no interest in doing that. It was kind of a one-off. Is it going to happen again someday? Sure, but it won't be because I planned ahead of time to do it and it's intentional. Unless, I will say this, unless we have a food sponsor for a video. So, say like a beef jerky company sponsors us for a podcast or something, or Domino's sponsors us for a podcast, or like if we get a food sponsorship, sure, we'll eat that food, during the actual video. But it's also not just because we're hungry, but it's because it's a sponsorship. We're not sponsored currently by anyone. I have 0 sponsorships right now, so you don't really need to worry about that, I guess. But that is something I'm always open to having on the channel. The next question comes from Zorian. He says, if you had to put a wild guess out, what would you think the Switch would sell next fiscal year with this insane lineup? As I said, 24 million. So there you go. Key Love says, what game are you most excited about that's releasing this year? It doesn't have to be on Switch. Right now, it's Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I do like Fire Emblem a lot. And then kind of Pokemon Gen 8. I'm kind of excited for that one. So those are the 2 that I'm really, really kind of digging into. But there's other things. Kingdom Hearts 3 has my curiosity. Even though I didn't play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I am definitely curious about 3. Has a lot of my favorite worlds from Disney. So yeah, that's kind of the one that I'm looking at right now. Seahawks 24 Rule says, what games have you been playing this week, Nate? It's been actually a pretty light week for gaming for me. Pokemon Let's Go, briefly. I'm still working on that review. And then that's pretty much it. I don't think I really... Oh, I played some Madden. I don't want to lie. I played Madden on the Xbox One X with Eric one night. Had a little gaming night with him, and we make our own little Madden teams, and we play each other in the Super Bowl, do franchises. It's a lot of fun. His team is the Diablos. My team is the Celtic Tigers or something. Anyways, it's all in good fun. We have a lot of fun doing that stuff. Mac Main chimed in here, and he says, what are your opinions on the idea of a Switch Mini? I don't like it. I've already stated why I don't like it. I don't want a smaller version of Switch, but some people do. And who am I to tell people you shouldn't get what you want? So if it exists, it's not like I'm going to complain that it exists. I just would rather have something like a Switch Pro or a Switch XL. Maddie Times Up 0 asks, are we getting something like 3D World? I think we are going to get Super Mario 3D World ported. Are we going to get another game like that? Like a new one? I don't know about that. After how well Odyssey sold, I think all efforts are on Super Mario Odyssey 2. But I do think Super Mario 3D World will be ported eventually. Brian Grossenbach says, what do you think about Retro Studios redoing Metroid Prime 4? Well, I think it's the best thing for the game. So I think it's a wholly positive thing. I'm not worried about the staff they've lost. Got to remember, Nintendo went with Retro Studios because they made a playable demo like for them right now. And Nintendo liked it so much they said, oh man, we got to reboot this with Retro. So clearly they still got it, whatever that it factor is, as a development company. And basically, they've also haven't put out a bad game since Metroid Prime. So like, from Metroid Prime on, every game they've released is gold. So until they release a game for me that sucks, there's no reason for me to think that this game's going to suck. Pain Fat Purple says, is Metroid Prime 4 really that important to Switch and Nintendo's success? No. It always has low sales, and a new Zelda will be out before we see it surface. That's a bold prediction, man, because if you look at, the development time for Skyward Sword, then you look at the development time for Breath of the Wild, I mean, based on that timetable, 5 years, we're not seeing a Zelda game till 2022. So to think we're not going to get Metroid Prime 4 before that, I'm not so sure about that. But I do agree that Metroid, on the whole, is not that imperative for the platform's success. I think it is a game that the people who really love Metroid, really, really love Metroid, and they get super hyped. But it is a smaller crowd. It's not the same crowd that gets hyped for Zelda or Mario games or Smash Bros. It's a crowd that is much more concise. That 3 to 4 million range, and that's not bad. I honestly think that it's an important game for diversity on the platform, but it's not necessarily important in terms of we need this game or the platform's a failure. Like, no, that's not true. I know some people are going to point out, well, I mean, we never got a true Metroid Prime on Wii U, and that failed. I mean, if we did, it wouldn't have failed. It wouldn't have saved Wii U. There used to be a checklist of, okay, release this game. That's going to save Wii U, right? And like Metroid would not have saved Wii U. So, Jarrett RK says, what is your favorite game of all time and why? Now, I've answered this before. So, I let this question come back in because he says you have to answer it in one sentence or less. So that's a little neat, fun challenge. So here it goes. I could do a really long sentence, but all right. My favorite game of all time is Breath of the Wild because for me, it is gaming excellence. There you go. Not perfection. Shadow King 1982 says, why is it that YouTube doesn't allow you to customize your feed? I believe we should be able to put custom tags of things we don't want to see. The leaks of Kingdom Hearts 3 is proof of this. Why do you think YouTube doesn't implement a system such as this? One, they don't care. Two, as I just kind of explained in the updates before for the channel, YouTube's broken. They have so many issues to worry about before they worry about adding in more features. YouTube has a lot of issues going on, and right now there's issues with ad companies, and it's just there's so many things that YouTube is trying to shuffle through right now. Article 13 now, trying to figure that all out, and it's just YouTube's got way more on its plate to worry about than adding in more functionality when the current functionality isn't even working right. So I would rather them not worry about something like that and actually fix the platform. Then maybe years down the road decide, all right, now what more user enhancements can we add and stuff like that. So I understand why you would want the ability to hide a tag, especially temporarily, so you don't get leaked or get spoiled. But honestly, the best way to not have spoilers is just not use the internet before a game comes out. But that's just me. Like, who am I to tell you stop using the internet? Because then it means you can't watch my videos anymore, and then it means I'm out of a job. So. But it is the best advice I have for avoiding spoilers. Tunacon says, what do you think of Young? Yeah. I like him. I've been getting in a lot of, really into his videos the last few months. I liked his conversation he had with Jason Schreier. I thought they both provided very different looks at the gaming industry, and I think they still do that. So, the thing about his channel is it basically looks like it seems to survive off a controversy. Every video he releases seems to be about a video game controversy, and I guess that's fine. I guess it's also an easy way to get attention from people, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't really mind what he has to say most of the time, and I'm not going to pretend he's perfect. I'm sure there's something in the past he said that was stupid or did something stupid or whatever. Like, there's things in my past too. Like, nobody's perfect. We're all human. We all make mistakes, but I have no real qualms with this channel. It's interesting the thumbnail he's using because I know where that template for that thumbnail came from. It's free to use and he's fine to use it, but it's kind of fun seeing how basic of a template he uses for his thumbnails, and yet his videos are just rocking it. Think about it. His videos are basically a still image of him in the video, not even doing anything special, and then an overlay that has some text. That's it. It's crazy. But that thumbnail style works for him, and it's like very specific to Young. Like, if I started using that, people would be like, "You stole that thumbnail idea from him." Just like when I appear in thumbnails, and people are always like, "Oh, you're stealing your thumbnail idea from Spawnwave." It's like, you mean the idea that Spawnwave is stolen from 17,000 other YouTubers that do the same thing? It's so dumb. But yeah, I like his channel a lot. Professor Flissick Gaming says, will Pikmin 4 be a surprise 2019 game or even mentioned in 2019? Or will this be something that goes untalked about again? I don't believe Pikmin 4 exists anymore. Arlo. Shout out to Arlo. He put out an excellent video, I think it was about a week ago, on Pikmin 4, where he dove into why everyone thinks Pikmin 4 is just done and sitting there. And it all goes back to a quote that from Miyamoto, where it looked like Miyamoto was saying that Pikmin 4 is just pretty much done. The thing is, though, if you actually go to the originating source, it turns out that Pikmin 4 was never like a word that came out of Miyamoto's mouth. What Miyamoto said is the next Pikmin game is almost done. And we have had a Pikmin game since then called Hey Pikmin on 3DS. Chances are he was just going hint, hint, wink, wink, Hey Pikmin. If he meant Pikmin 4, he probably would have said Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 was an embellishment by the author of the piece, who just naturally, because we had only gotten Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, naturally assumed that it was Pikmin 4. But then we got Hey Pikmin, which should have killed that entire thing, but it didn't because of the misrepresentation of Miyamoto's own words. So, honestly, Pikmin 4, I don't even think is a thing being made. So, no, I don't think there's a surprise release of it. Maybe a surprise release of Pikmin 3 from Wii U, but yeah. Sorry to burst that bubble. It actually kind of makes me mad to think that Pikmin 4 isn't real. Zach Karinsky asks, did you think Nintendo will come up with a game that will compete with 3D Mario and 3D Zelda in the near future? Yeah, it's called Animal Crossing. It's called Pokemon. It's called Fire Emblem Three Houses. They already have it slated up. So what are we? They already have that this year. So sure. Joel Putz says, do you think SMT, Shin Megami Tensei, I think is what you meant, will be this year or a Persona? What's your thoughts on when the Metroid trilogy is releasing this year? Shin Megami Tensei 5, I think, is the one that's in the works for Switch. I'm not sure if that's going to land this year. That might be 2020. But it's a third-party game, so it's hard to know. We haven't had any real information on it since it was announced. So it could land this year, but the longer it takes us to hear about it, the more I think it's going to be a 2020 game. Persona, the rumor obviously is that it's Persona 5 coming to Switch, and that would be awesome. And if it is coming, I think it does happen this year. If it doesn't happen this year, then I don't think we're getting it. But I give Persona a chance to be this year. I do think Shin Megami Tensei has a chance too, but if we don't, it just feels like, that's a 2020 game at this point. I don't know. That's just a personal opinion. I don't really have any facts to back that up. It's a feeling. It's one of those gut feelings. As for the Metroid Prime trilogy, I think we will have it by July. No real reason. I just think it'll be here by July. World of Weebcraft asks, do you think Ultimate is Sakurai's last Smash Bros. Game? No. I think Sakurai will head up every Smash Bros. Game until he dies. And hopefully that's not for a long time. So no. I do think he's going to pass off more and more responsibilities. This is the first game he let other people balance some of the characters. So he's already doing that. So I think he's training people to be able to run Smash without him, but I don't think he will not be at the head of the Smash Bros. Game for a long time. What do you think about Yokai Watch 4? That question came from Harmon Ka. We'll just go Ka. He says, what do you think of Yokai Watch 4? Yokai Watch 4 looks way more ambitious than Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee did. And I've never played a Yokai Watch game, so this might be my first. It looks really, really good. Will it revive the IP? I know the IP is kind of started off really hot, and then by like the third game, it started really tanking, even in Japan. So maybe this is what it needs. But it looks ambitious, and I can't wait to see more of it, and maybe even try it out. The Mind of Thomas asks, do you think we will see or ever see anything from the scrapped non-retro Metroid Prime 4? Not officially, but I do think years in the future, Liam Robertson and the folks over at Did You Know Gaming will probably do a piece on the scrapped Metroid Prime 4, and they will somehow, some way through their contacts, get some of the assets from some of the studios that were working on it, and that's when we'll see a little bit of what this game was looking like. But we'll never get a ton because Nintendo's going to, I don't know, they might even made people delete it by now. So, Ben Van Boven asks, do you think the canceled Metroid Prime 4 will become a different game? Nope. Do not think so at all. Brave Lee DX says, do you believe Nintendo doesn't have a Switch Pro / Mini in mind as of now? Nintendo has everything in mind. Nintendo, whatever revision they want to do to Switch one day, they already know what it's going to be. Whatever the Switch Pro, if they're going to do, or the next generation of platform, they already have an idea what that's going to be. Nintendo is always thinking ahead. They just don't tell us about it. And we know that because Iwata used to tell us about it which is weird when I just said they don't tell us about it. But I want to put it out there that, as soon as they release one platform, they already are working on the next. So, yes, they already have stuff in mind, and they already know what they're going to do. But that doesn't mean that they're going to tell us about it till they want to. Dungeon Master Z390 asks, what do you think is going to happen to the Paper Mario series? Nothing. We're just going to get another one. We got Color Splash back in 2016, so I think 2020 we'll get another Paper Mario game. About every 4 years. Seems about right. Edward Norton asks, is there a private Discord server for your empty chair? Nope. You should know that, but the answer is no. I know it's a kind of a joke. People love my dang green chair. I don't get it. It's only that chair that's in my news videos or in live streams, like when I have to get up and go like do something with my kids quick in a live stream. People love the dang chair. I don't know what meme it has been growing out of it, but whatever. Now we even have an emoji of just the green chair. So, let's see here. Blank Floof asks, what are your 5 most anticipated movies of 2019? These are in no particular order. Avengers Endgame, Aladdin. Oh, Aladdin's one of my favorite Disney movies, so seeing like a real life version is cool, even if it'll be a bit sad that Robin Williams obviously can't be part of that. Spider-Man, Far From Home, if you can't tell. Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man, kind of a big deal for me. I like those movies. How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, love that movie series. Can't wait to see the conclusion. And then Star Wars Episode 9, big Star Wars guy. Can't wait to see what's in store for Episode 9. There's a bunch of other movies coming out this year I'm interested in, like Captain Marvel and stuff. Like, obviously another Marvel movie, but doesn't make my top 5. So those are my current top 5, but there's probably like 30 movies I'm looking forward to this year, and I'll probably only see like 12 of them. But all right, the final question comes from Mr. Edward Norton yet again, and he wants to know, how do you do your laundry? Well, it's curious when you think about laundry, right? Because like when I grew up, I was taught to do it a certain way, right? You separate the colors from the whites. You wash the whites on their own. You wash the colors on their own because you need to worry about color bleed. But I have discovered that it's only very specific clothes that bleed, and I don't own any of them. There was always my mom's clothes. So I just toss everything together and throw it in. I don't care, whites or whatever. I never see color bleed at all. I am bad about hang drying because some things should be hang dried so they don't shrink. So like this shirt, as an example, actually shrunk a little bit. A lot of my shirts shrink. So like I'll put on like one of my podcast shirts that I get. It's a 2XL, everything's going great, but then it shrinks to an XL, and so then you put it on next and you think you gained weight when really the shirt just is smaller. So that's a little frustrating, but that's my own frustration because I don't want to hang dry. So I don't want to wait. I have no patience. If I want to wear a shirt, I want it now. So I just toss it all in together. We have a brand new washer and dryer, like literally brand spanking new from a few months ago, and yeah, it's nice. You just put it in there. There's a line that you can measure up to for your soap. We normally use the Arm & Hammer brand with the OxyClean in it. Because that brand and the All brand are good for my kids. They don't. My 5-year-old son, he gets like a skin rash from certain brands of laundry soap, but those 2 brands they don't. And we have discovered the OxyClean version actually does better on the stains, so that our kids get in their clothes. So we use the Arm & Hammer and then the OxyClean. Ends up being a little bit pricey sometimes, but whatever. That's what we use. My parents use All, so it ends up working out either way, even if I do laundry at my parents' house. But yeah, and there is like a place to put like liquid bleach. We don't use the bleach very often because the bleach we have right now is not color safe bleach. It's only white bleach. But sometimes we use it with our sheets. We have some white sheets and stuff we'll sometimes use the bleach with. But and then because we're potty training and accidents happen and pee gets on stuff or on a blanket or on pants, we'll use Odo Band in combination to help get rid of the smell. Not necessarily worried about the getting, I don't know, like this pee is basically sterile, so like you wash the clothes, they're fine to wear, but like that pee smell is not pleasant, so we use Odovan for that, which is actually something I used to use for when I had a dog, and that peed on the floor. It was a great way to get rid of the smell in the carpet. So yeah, and then goes in the dryer. We don't use dryer sheets. We used to use dryer sheets. I'm not really sure why we stopped, to be honest. I always like are the point of dryer sheets supposed to be to like? I've never even looked this up. What is the point of a dryer sheet? I know it can help make your clothes smell like the dryer sheet, but is it to like get rid of the static? I honestly have no idea because I don't really notice much of a difference besides the smell of the clothes. So maybe that's the only difference. But we don't use dryer sheets anymore, or very often, I guess I should say. And yeah, we just have a spinning dryer, you know, like normal. We have a top loading wash machine, but however, it's not a top loader that has like the thing in the middle because I said it's brand new. So it actually, the water all comes in from the sides and it's got like jets and I don't know, it does crazy stuff. But yeah, that's what we do. We have different wash cycles too. Obviously, there's heavy duty, normal, bedding, whites, linen. There's actually a wrinkle free dryer setting on the dryer that's cool. What it'll do is it'll steam dry your clothes so they come out wrinkle free. It's actually really neat. I like that a lot for some of my dress shirts that you guys usually don't see me wear. Anyways, that's going to do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Prime Answers. This is the last one of January. That's pretty exciting. Next time you see one of these episodes, we will be in February. Be sure to check out our Patreon and maybe toss $1 our way per month. Get some perks or not. I don't know. You guys do what you want to do. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday whenever this gets out. And I'll catch you guys later.